Network. I'm the president and owner. Terry Levin, our director of sales, is not able to join us today. So you have me as your intro host. But today we're going to get into Amazon news and updates with the new year. And by the way, Happy New Year. Tim is going to lead off and tell us about a little bit about the FBA fee changes, enhanced brand content, and much, much more. Tim, you want to take it away?
Sure, Paul. Thank you so much for that nice introduction. So, yes, just like Paul mentioned, today we are going to be talking about Amazon news and updates, and you can talk about all the big things that happened last year, changes that happened last year. Talk about enhanced brand content, which is a crazy new thing that Amazon kind of snuck in there for sellers recently, and talk about some FBA changes that we are going to be expecting over the course of this upcoming year. So without any further ado, and I just want to remind everyone that you can always post a question in the chat if you have any specific questions for us. We are more than happy to answer those for you. So just post that message in there. We will see it, and we will be happy to answer it on the webinar today. So with that being said, let's get started. So first thing we're going to talk about today is FBA fee changes in 2017. So every year, Amazon always seems to change a little bit with their fees here and there. They've been making changes with, how their long-term storage fees and storage fees work during the holidays and everything else. So the name of the game this year is consolidation and making everything simpler. So let's start out by talking about one of the first things that they're going to consolidate, which is to consolidate and realign FBA fulfillment fees. So this is going to take effect February 22nd of this year. And currently the model is that when you are, whenever you look up your FBA fee, there's all sorts of little fees that you take into account. So it's going to be your pick and pack fee, your order handling fee, and your variable weight-based fee for shipping. Well, what they're doing differently this year is that they're going to consolidate all of those into just one charge. So instead of having all of those split apart into separate entities, they're all going to actually be, it's just going to be one simple thing that's going to vary based on how much the product weighs. So they are also going to be reducing fulfillment fees in October to align with the lower fees that they do in November and December. So that's kind of a nice little break right before the holidays there. And one of the big downsides, though, is that they are going to be increasing the media fees to basically match exactly with what non-media fees are. So again, it's all about restructuring all this to make it a lot simpler. It's going to make things easier for people to figure out how much their fees are going to be going forward. One of the downsides, or a couple of the downsides, is that you can see their media fees are going to be higher going forward. But another downside that we also have noticed is that before, order handling fees was charged per order. So if a customer purchased, let's say, 2 or 3 items from you, you would only be charged one order handling fee for all 3 of those products. So you could potentially save yourself $2 or $3 if customers ordered multiple items. Under this new model, that is no longer their case. It's going to just be a flat fee for each product that they ship. So there's no discounts, so to speak. So we have some ideas of how to improve, or let's say how to get around that problem. We always talk to clients about doing multi-packs, so that if you do want to offer multiple units, instead of just having them be just standalone units that customers can buy multiples of, you can actually create a multi-pack, so 2 or 3 units in one bundle. And that can be a way that we oftentimes recommend that you give customers volume discounts, or you get less expensive fees, so you can give those discounts to the customer. All right, so what exactly are the new fees going to be? So we have a nice little chart here that we pulled off of Amazon, just kind of, again, made even their chart just a little bit simpler and easier to understand. But essentially, Amazon, as I said before, for standard size media and non-media units, they are going to be the same charge from January to September. Your small standard size units that are 1 pound or less are $2.41, $2.99. If they're large standard size under a pound, 1 to 2 pounds is $4.18, and then large standard size, anything over 2 pounds, is going to be more than that. And you can also see that the fees for October to December are also in there. It's a little bit of a discount on the fulfillment fees, which is nice. But as you can see, this is all you need to know for your standard size products. There's no additional little fees you have to worry about. It's really nice and easy and simple to understand. Then the next thing that we have is the oversized products. So same size tiers that you have small, medium, large, and special oversize. And again, you can actually look at the Amazon help files to know exactly what classifies each of these. And we have gone over the different sizing tiers before. And we may cover that again in the near future. But yeah, as you can see, charges are now pretty simple. So just to give you an example, if it's small oversize, $6.85, and then 39 cents per pound above the first 2 pounds. So there's
Tim,
no
Tim,
order
would you
handling
mind
fee.
going back to the last slide and we'll kind of walk through because that's what's pretty much going to apply to most sellers
Yeah, sure,
that are in the
absolutely.
small and just kind of run through exactly how it would work as a scenario.
Okay, so let's say we have a product that is 5 pounds, and it would then be in the large standard size over 2 pounds. So Amazon would basically calculate the charge as $4.18, then 39 cents per pound over those first 2 pounds, which is 3 additional pounds. And if I just do a quick calculation here, 39 cents times those 3 additional pounds plus the $4.18, you're looking at $5.35 total for a large standard size product that's 5 pounds. All right.
And then if you're under, it's so looking at this small standard size 1 pound or less, it's just a flat fee.
Mm-hmm.
And then the per pound. So obviously the size determines the tier that you're in,
Yep.
and here we can see that's where your next slide comes in, where they have a and if you wouldn't mind going to that slide, you just take a look at the different sizes will determine which weight class you're in, right?
Yes, exactly.
All
Yeah.
right.
So the size, there's all sorts of things. Amazon has a whole entire chart that helps you classify exactly which size tier that you belong to. And again, that's something that I believe we have gone over before, but we may revisit again in the near future here. Once you know your size tier, it's just a much simpler formula to be able to determine how much your FBA fees are going to be for each unique
Great.
cell.
So Tim, overall, taking a look at this, are we looking at an increase, a decrease, kind of split? What's your evaluation after taking a look at this?
It in general does seem to be a slight increase, but it really depends on the specific size tier that we're talking about. So I am going to do a quick search on Amazon because they did have a comparison chart from the previous fees to the new fees, which is kind of nice. So we might be able to pull that up here to get an idea of what's going on. But
I know Blake had done some looking into this too, right, Blake?
I did.
And what were your findings while Tim's pulling up that comparison chart?
Overall, it is a little more expensive in general, but there are a couple tiers that decrease. But it's just part of the business. Every year, fees have been going up ever so slightly, sometimes forcing companies to increase their fees, but for what they charge. I mean, they're not fees, they're prices on their products, but yeah.
All right, so here's the comparison here. So you can see here, it all depends on exactly what the size tier is, but small standard size items before it used to be $2.56, but that has gone down to $2.41. So this is combining the order handling, pick and pack, and weight handling fees all together, and then this is the fee under the new model. So small standard size, you're looking at a lower price in general. Large standard size, it's about the same. Anything that's over 2 pounds that's large standard size, you can see there is an increase, and then there's a general increase for anything bigger than that.
Right.
Cool.
So anything a pound or less kind of benefits. Anything over a pound when it comes to shipping and weight has a slight increase. Overall, I think I read an article that said there's an average of 5 to 10% increase across the board, even still factoring in the cheaper 1 pound or less. So companies that sell a bunch of items that are a pound or less are going to benefit from this change. Those that sell very expensive and heavy items are going to experience a potential having to increase their prices on their products unless it still fits in their margins.
Great. And then we also had a question here from Roy, which I'm going to go ahead and display here on the screen here. Broadcast that. Roy asks, is definition of size just based on weight or is it dimensional? It is both, actually. Again, I'm going to see if I can do FBA size tier. They have an entire chart that explains exactly how to determine what size tier your product belongs to. And I'm going to pull that up right now. Oh, looks like I have to be in Seller Central to be able to do it, so I can't actually display it right now. But yeah, actually, you know what? I can just pull this up here like this. All right. So yeah, as you can see, depending on the maximum sizes, so you can see small standard size is anything that's smaller than 15 by 12 by 3/4 of an inch and weighs less than 12 ounces. Large standard size is 18 by 14 by 8 and is up to 20 pounds. So if it exceeds that, then it automatically moves over to the next tier. So, and then you can see the small, medium, large, and special oversized, the requirements for those. And this is just to give you a little quick anecdote. We had a client who wanted to ship a product in an 8 cubed box. So it was 8 by 8 by 8. Because it was larger than 8 inches on the shortest side, it automatically put them into small oversized category. So that increased their fees from, as you can see, if we go from large standard size, which is $3.02, to then large standard size, small oversize, you can see that's almost, that's, I think, more than doubling. Yeah, that's more than doubling your fulfillment fee just because the smallest side was over 8 inches. So that's why it's important to understand all these numbers. And that's something that we always help our clients determine, is trying to optimize even their packaging just to make sure that they're getting the most out of their FBA fees, and trying to find out where those inefficiencies are. All right, great. Then with that, I think we can move forward. Any other questions?
Not at this time. Let's see what's next.
Great. All right. So in addition to consolidating the FBA fulfillment fees, they are also aligning the quarter for FBA storage fees. So if you were shipping into FBA during November and December this year, you'll know that they had increased storage, your monthly storage costs significantly for those months. So effective October 1st of this month, they're going to increase the storage fees in October to align with what's already happening in November and December. And this affects both standard size and oversized products. And as you can see, it aligns with November and December. So we just have a quick little chart here to show you what those standard size and oversized charges are. So now,
Jim, do we know what it went from and what it's gone to? Obviously, we see what it's gone to here.
Yeah. So the as far as I could tell, the storage fees, and I'm just double checking here, it's not a change at all. It's just a realignment. So it was
terms of the months.
Actually, no, it is an increase. I apologize. Yes. So it used to be here at 54 cents per month. I'm sorry, per cubic foot per month for standard size from January to September, and 225. And then for oversized, it was 43 and 115. So it looks like oversized didn't change at all, but it's the standard size that has increased 10 cents on both of those from what it was this previous year. All right.
So let's move on.
Great. Next is going to be zero fee fulfillment eliminated. So there was something called zero fee fulfillment, but effective February 22nd, 2017, it will no longer be available to sellers. What zero fee fulfillment did was it used to apply to standard size products that sold for more than $300. And so what happened was if you charged for a product more than $300, Amazon would not charge you an FBA fee whatsoever, which was really kind of nice. Now, FBA fees are going to be just like all other fees. And again, this has to do with the whole realignment. There's not as much of a special case scenario where you can get a lesser fee anymore. All right. All right, next is going to be inventory placement changes. One thing that used to be able to happen is, anyone who has shipped into FBA, and we've talked about this with many clients, when you would create a shipment in FBA, Amazon would then tell you exactly where your inventory had to be shipped to. So let's say if you were shipping in 30 units, Amazon may say that 7 have to go to this one warehouse, 13 have to go to a second warehouse, and then 10 have to go to a third warehouse. So you had to break up your shipments and ship them to where Amazon asked you to. You really didn't have a whole lot of flexibility in terms of determining how many different warehouses you want to ship to. But Amazon has recently has been actually not dividing up shipments as much and has more or less dedicated certain warehouses as just distribution centers, where they would take your inventory all at one location and then they would redistribute it throughout the Amazon platform. So what happened was, and I think this will be the first thing, is that Amazon was going to be breaking with that trend that they've been doing over the last year, and they will start to increase the how many times Amazon is asking you to send to multiple destinations. And we have deduced, based on some of the information that we'll see in a few minutes, that generally Amazon will not have you ship to more than 3 locations. So that's the kind of good news. You don't have to, Amazon has dozens of warehouses throughout the country. It's not like you're going to be breaking up shipments and shipping them to, 10 different destinations. Looks like Amazon is still just, will only give you a maximum of 3 destinations that they will have you ship to for each shipment. Amazon does still offer and has always offered something called an inventory placement service, which is an additional fee that you can pay per unit to have Amazon always have you shipped to a specific, to only one fulfillment center, but Amazon determines which fulfillment center that is. The advantage of this is that you more or less just have to ship to one location, and then Amazon will redistribute your inventory as needed. The big thing to keep in mind is that Amazon recently, again, has been just more or less doing this anyways, but they are going to be stopping doing that. And I have a feeling that the reason why they were doing it is because they were just getting absolutely bombarded with a number of FBA sellers that were coming onto the platform, and they needed to scramble and just try to handle inventory a little bit more efficiently. So that's my guess as to why Amazon had been doing that over this last year, and this year they're finally going back to what they have always done before. So I wanted to talk about the, and as I said, reduce the number of destinations that you ship to, and you do have an additional fee per unit, and the fee is based on how many destinations you choose. And I'm going to go over that in a little bit more detail so we can talk about what those costs are if you do decide to do the inventory placement service and how all this works. But wanted to see if anyone else had a comment or question on that before I moved on to that portion.
Just wanted to comment, Tim, that typically in the past, when Amazon is asking you to ship products to all these different warehouses, a lot of folks don't realize that you can, quote unquote, case pack your product in whatever case quantity you would like. So a lot of times folks just say, hey, I get 20 of these, 80 of those, 40 of these, and then Amazon makes you split it all up into a whole bunch of boxes. Well, if that 20, 40, and 80 items if you put them all in one box and say, hey, this only comes in a box of 20. It only comes in a box of 40. Maybe it's true this time, but the next time you ship in, you change that quantity. But you can say, I have a case pack of this amount. And then in that scenario, you would only ship to 3 warehouses at the most because you have them case packed together rather than having them split amongst many, many warehouses. So just a strategy that we helped people with in the past. It might help in the future. But Tim, please dive into the inventory placement service.
Absolutely. So yeah, inventory placement service. So this is Amazon's chart, and they basically explain that for standard size inventory, if Amazon, and I'm going to kind of walk you through this whole thing. So what will happen is when you create a shipment, Amazon will split up your shipments into either 3, 2, or 1 different warehouses. And the fact that they only show up to 3 kind of makes me think that they're never going to do more than 3. Again, there's nothing that we could find to necessarily verify this, but the fact that their official chart does not show more than 3 makes me think that that's the case. But let's say Amazon recommends that you need to send to 3 different warehouses. If you have selected to send to all 3 of those different warehouses, there is no inventory placement charge. Pretty straightforward. But let's say if they say, we want you to send to these 3, but you say, no, I'd rather just send to 2 of those to make my shipments a little bit more simple, then you would then get charged 10 cents plus 10 cents per pound above the first 2 pounds per item that you're shipping. So if you have a shipment of around 300 items that are going in, then and each item weighs 1.5 pounds, then you would be looking at a total charge of, what would that be, $30 to have them have all that inventory just go to 2 destinations as opposed to 3. And then carrying that through, let's say if they recommend 3 and you only want to send to 1, then you're looking at 30 cents per units plus 10 cents per pound if it's over 2 pounds. So again, using the same analogy, if it's 30 units, if you're sending in 100 units at 30 cents a pop, then you're looking at about, what is that, $90? Because that's triple the other amounts. Yep, $90. So making sure my math is on point today. So then kind of walking through.
As I say, the question that we get, why does Amazon charge me these fees to reduce the number of warehouses that I send to? And what would you say to that, Tim?
Well, Amazon always is trying to make sure that inventory that gets sent to customers is as close to customers as possible so that they can fulfill on that guarantee that customers will receive their product within 2 business days. So that whole Prime 2-day free shipping thing, if they have a unit that is out in California and someone orders one from New York, for them to be able to ship it from California to New York within 2 days is going to be very expensive. But if they have one in a warehouse that's closer to them, they will ship from the closer warehouse, and thus reducing the amount of shipping costs that Amazon has to incur to be able to get that product to the customer. The nice thing is you as a seller never see those additional costs if Amazon ever has to scramble and get units out to customers that request one that's not near where the inventory is located. But the whole idea is Amazon is constantly redistributing inventory to make sure it is as close to customers as possible. And by charging extra fees to only send to 1 warehouse, it helps them cover their costs to be able to redistribute the inventory if you don't do that for them.
One thing that people don't know is, well, the fact that they're redistributing to the warehouse that handles that particular type of inventory or what's closest to customers who are ordering that particular type. But additionally, they have these things called Kiva robots, which have, the products are on these like little, I would say 2 foot wide by 2 foot deep racks. That these little robots move around the warehouse for them and bring to the people who actually pick and pack the stuff. And even when they take 1 out of the bin, there's 5 left in the bin, that little rack that moved to the person at the front of the house, that little rack might go to a completely different place in the entire warehouse than where it came from originally. So it's constantly, your inventory is constantly in motion depending on where their computer system feels the best placement is for it based on their algorithms. So I don't think a lot of people really understand the depth of how incredibly complicated and mechanic. I mean, mechanic's not the word, but just it's just kind of crazy seeing how advanced all this stuff is. And Tim's showing a little picture of Kiva robots going around the warehouse, and here's a great shot here where they'll go underneath these little racks, and they're gonna spin to lift the rack, and then you'll see it come out with the rack, and then they literally bring the rack to a person. And that person has a queuing line. They just pick the items off the rack, and the little robots just keep moving everything around. Here's Tim fast forwarded the video. Here's the person literally just taking things off the rack. All they do is turn to their right, grab the product, scan it in, and then the next Kiva robot moves into place. It's kind of crazy how it works. But a little insight into how things work there. But Tim, we'll go ahead and go back to you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thought it'd be beneficial to kind of take a look and see how that all works. But we do actually have a quick question. So I'm going to go ahead and broadcast this out to everyone. Roy asked another question. Do they still charge the storage fees for each location? Yeah. So Amazon doesn't care exactly where your inventory is. The way that they charge your monthly storage fees is they just take an average over 30 days of how much inventory you had in each of those 30 days in any of their warehouses, and then they charge based on that number. So they don't really distinguish necessarily how much are in each warehouse, but you can actually pull a report that does divide up, I believe, exactly how much are in each warehouse, and that's where they give you that fee. So yeah, Amazon doesn't charge you more or less. If it's an Amazon system, then Amazon will start counting that towards inventory that they will charge storage fees for. Great. Thank you so much for the question. All right. Let's move on a little bit more here. Next thing we're going to talk about is oversize. I wanted to show you guys the chart for oversize. So oversize is 50 cents per unit, plus 20 cents more per pound if it's over 5 pounds for anything oversize. And then 165 plus 20 cents per pound, and then $1.70. And again, it depends on how many they recommend, how many they recommend, and then how many are going to be going in there. And then Roy says, thank you. You're welcome, Roy. Sorry, I thought you had another question there. He does say they make it cheaper to ship to 3 locations, but charge you for all of them. Is that, I guess?
Well, so the way I interpret that is, yes, you will pay shipping to all of those FBA warehouses, but they're not going to do an additional charge because you're choosing to ship to less than 3. So just to kind of step back here, well, what do they charge you to send into FBA warehouses? We actually have a whole nother webinar that talks about FBA fees. And that's on our blog at awesomedynamic.com. But to give you a little insight, they get something like a 70 to 80% discount off of UPS rates. So what you are sending into Amazon's warehouse is incredibly inexpensive when you're using carrier shipping. And then if you're doing LTL or FTL, that also can be a less expensive way of sending in as well. But yes, you have to pay to send your product into Amazon, but they do have some programs that make that less expensive.
Great. Thank you so much for that feedback, Roy. That's great clarification that we wanted to make on that. All right, great. Well, at this point, Paul, I think I want to hand it over to you to talk about Awesome Dynamic, because we're about halfway through at this point. So without further ado, I'll pull up our website and you can take the floor.
Sounds good. So Awesome Dynamic Tech Solutions, which you can find at awesomedynamic.com, is a technology provider that's had roots in starting with website design and providing search engine optimization services to get you found on Google. We are actually a Google partner. We do the virtual tours that you might find on Google Maps, where you can actually walk into businesses. But our main part of our business nowadays is Amazon consulting. And that's something that we've been helping an incredible amount of people with as of late. We actually ranked #1 on Google worldwide for many key terms related to Amazon management, Amazon consulting. Whether or not you want to learn how to do things on Amazon, and have us teach you, or you want us to just take over your entire account and run it for you, or anything in between, we can do that. So, we have folks that do our on-demand packages, our full-service management packages, and depending on how big your business is or how small your business is, if you're getting started, we can help you with any particular aspect. We even have folks call us when they have a particular issue they just can't get past, and we help them with that too. So Terry, our director of sales, is usually doing our commercial at this point in time. But to get a hold of us, if you're interested in getting started with Awesome Dynamic, all you need to do is visit our website at awesomedynamic.com and click that free quote button in the upper right. Or you can call our 800 number, 800-238-1811. Again, that's 800-238-1811. And Terry is really, really good at getting back to you fast. Usually he's getting back to folks within an hour, but lately we've had a few more contacts, so I think he might be averaging an hour and 2 minutes recently. I'm just kidding there, but he is very quick to get back to you if you're interested in getting started with us. I also wanted to mention, if you're interested in listening to more of these webinars, definitely go to the webinar page on our website and sign up for those. They're every single Thursday at 12:30 Central Time. We didn't have two the last couple weeks because of the holidays, but typically throughout the year, we're only missing Thanksgiving and a couple during the holidays. But we're always covering phenomenal topics. And if you go to that webinar page at the top right of Awesome Dynamic, you can see all the past webinars we've done, and you can watch those recordings. If you find what you're learning with us valuable, I would like you to go down to the bottom of the website and give us a 5-star review. That allows us to grow our business and let other folks know that what we have is valuable and maybe they should consider doing some business with us. We have an excellent team of folks. We're growing. I think we have about 20 now, and we're growing very quickly, and we're really excited that we're able to help so many folks with their Amazon presence, websites, getting found on Google, and everything else that we do. So please give us a call or click that free quote button and fill out the form. Terry will get back to you right away. And with that, Tim, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul. All right. So now we've exhausted all the FBA changes that we talked about. Let's talk about some new things that are coming to brand owners on Amazon. And that's talking about enhanced brand content. So this is kind of an exciting thing and something that has never been available to Amazon sellers. So let's dive into this and talk about what enhanced brand content is and why it's such an important change recently. So enhanced brand content, it's really if you are a vendor on Amazon. So if you have a vendor relationship where you sell your product directly to Amazon, either through Vendor Central or Vendor Express, one of the advantages, which is really one of the only advantages as far as our experience has told us, is that you do get access to what's called A+ content. And that's where you see sometimes on Amazon pages where they have more of a magazine style layout description, where they have images and text and charts and all sorts of other information that you don't have available to you if you are just a normal seller. And A+ also allows you to add videos to product pages as well. So this whole enhanced brand content is basically a way for brand owners to be able to modify information on their on their ASINs without having to be a vendor. So right now they're starting with allowing you to have a little bit more control over the way that your product descriptions look. But rumors and everything that we've heard is that they are going to be expanding that to other benefits that are only available to vendors in the near future. So we're kind of excited to see what happens. So enhanced brand content allows you to describe your product features in a different way. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth of how that kind of works, but it's a great way to be able to kind of describe your brand story, able to put additional images in there, and be able to put more text in there as well that makes more sense. All right, so the big thing that you have to keep in mind is that in order for you to be able to have enhanced brand content available to you, is you must first be approved as a brand owner through Amazon's brand registry. The next thing is that you have to make sure all your products are then enrolled under your brand and brand registry. And once both of those are done, then you can start adding content to those ASINs. So if a particular ASIN is not enrolled in brand registry properly, even though you have brand registry, then you will not be able to add enhanced brand content to it. When this is used effectively, and we've helped clients that have A+ content do this, but when it's used effectively, we've found that it does help with getting higher conversion rates. You do generally see increased traffic because of those higher conversion rates and views, and all of that just results in increased sales. So it's finally a tool that will allow you to do all of that, which is really, really nice. The kind of content that you can include right now is again just the details page. The product description section is what gets replaced by this enhanced brand content right now. So you can include product details and features that don't exist in any other part of the listing. Customers sometimes request more information. So if customers are constantly asking for more information about a product, that might be something that you want to include in there. And we also, like I said before, recommend maybe doing a little bit of a backstory about your brand or your company or that particular product, why it came to market, what kind of problems it solves. Anything like that can definitely help increase your product page. Then lastly, let's talk a little bit about how we actually implement enhanced brand content. That's kind of redundant to create enhanced brand content for your product. But essentially, you just go to select enhanced brand content, and that's at the top of the page under advertising. So if you have it available to you, you just hover over advertising and it says enhanced brand content. Amazon will then ask you to enter in the SKU that represents the ASIN. If the SKU is recognized as part of your brand that you have registered, then Amazon will then give you a screen where you can choose from, I believe, one of 5 different templates. Blake, do you recall if it was 5 different ones?
I thought it was 3. We can confirm, but I will look that up right now.
It may depend on what category, and there may be different reasons for what they have available. But yeah, you essentially have to choose one of the templates, and at that point, you just populate the templates with your text and with images. Once you do that, you save your changes, hit submit, and then Amazon will review all of that and will then either approve or deny it. You still have to make sure that all your images do meet the same requirements as all your other secondary images that you have on your product page. So yeah, as long as everything is good, then Amazon will approve it and will go live. Great. Were there any questions about enhanced brand content or any remarks about that before we move on?
Just something that's just really exciting for the Seller Central side. For a long time, on the Vendor Central side, the only way to get that extra stuff on the detail page with big, beautiful pictures, HTML formatted text, to charts and graphs and all this other stuff. On the seller side, you'd have to try and sneak that into the the picture area or the bullet point area or the description area, and that violates all sorts of policies. But on the Vendor Central side, they have something called A+ content, which is reserved for the folks that are a vendor of Amazon. But this enhanced brand content essentially brings most of that A+ content program to the seller side. So it's very exciting that you're able to tell more of a story. I recall we were talking with a new client earlier this week in regard to how they wanted to tell the story, how their product came to be, and some of the neat things that they do with some of the money that they make when selling the product to benefit. I think it was young girls in school that are in STEM programs, so that science, technology, engineering, and math, to promote those sorts of initiatives with their particular line of products. So you don't really have a lot of room to explain that or show that or anything else, and that's just one example of where I think that that enhanced brand content area would really help deliver that messaging more effectively than some of the limited space that you would have otherwise. But that's all I had to say, Tim. I'll have you take back over.
Great. Thank you, Paul. All right. So now that we've covered enhanced brand content and all the FBA fees, we just wanted to kind of do a little bit of a rapid fire thing of all the other changes that are going to be coming, or that have happened, or will be coming up in this next following year. I think most of them are the big changes that have happened, just to remind everyone. But yeah, let's go through those. So other announcements and changes. First is FedEx was added as a FBA partnered carrier. So if you don't like UPS, or UPS really is not convenient for you and you want to use FedEx now, you can actually choose FedEx as a partnered carrier and use their shipping. So there is discounted group shipping services, which means that you usually do get a good discount off of normal rates from FedEx. There hasn't really been published approximately. We usually say UPS is about 60-70% off, somewhere around there. FedEx, we haven't seen enough information yet to really give you an idea of how much of a discount you'll get with FedEx, but it's worthwhile, trying them out different as an option, because you might find that they're more economical, or maybe you just prefer them for one reason or another. But more choices are better as far as I'm concerned. So so this applies only to U.S. fulfillment centers. When you do create a shipment, the way that you select who you want to is that when you are choosing your shipping service, so you choose either LTL or small parcel delivery, you want to choose small parcel, SPD. Then you can select either UPS or FedEx, and you want to choose FedEx in that particular scenario. So that's one pretty nice change. Again, giving more options, I think, is always good.
I agree, and I also think more options means more competition, which hopefully means lower prices for us sellers. And from what we understand, Amazon is also creating a fleet of their own shipping. Right now, they're definitely using third-party shipping services, but Amazon themselves wants to be a carrier for their own products, similar to how FedEx and UPS is. So it's only good for us as business owners.
That's right. All right. Great. So now, one thing that, and I think Blake knows a little bit more about this section, but when you are categorizing your products now, there's a much easier way to do it than before, because before you had to kind of use browse tree guides, and you had to use classifiers on Amazon to be able to figure this out. But now, when you submit a file, so this has to do with doing flat files on Amazon, which is a way to upload your inventory and ASIN changes in bulk. And I think we've talked pretty extensively about this before, but one of the things that you have to fill out is you have to fill out exactly which node or which category your product belongs to. Now Amazon, based on your information, you can actually have Amazon spit back and recommend which categories they recommend for each product when you upload your file with all that information to Amazon, which is really kind of nice, because that's a sticking point for a lot of people, is knowing, hey, what's the best category to put this in? So you get this generated after you upload a template to the check your file report, and it provides you what's called an item type keyword based on the title and the description. And if you, for some reason, Amazon has two steps basically that they recommend you do when you upload an inventory file to Amazon, and one is to check your file, and then the next one is to actually submit it. If you do ever skip the check your file step, then Amazon will automatically populate the item type keyword value, or if it's categorized incorrectly, they will just take care of that for you. So just a couple of small enhancements to the way Amazon will help classify your products when you're trying to do them in bulk. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that, Blake?
No, I think it's, well, then yes, I think it's a step in the right directions for navigating Amazon seller platform, because often it's tough for either new sellers or even medium tier user experience or to navigate all of this. So this is just, like you said, it's a sticking point. This is one easier way to be less confused and get your product up there correct. Because still to this day, we see a bunch of products that are just in the incorrect category, and that does not help your sales whatsoever. So people who are just window shopping are not going to find your product. For example, your garden tool in the beauty section, which sometimes we see things like this. So anyone window shopping is not going to find your product incorrectly categorized.
Tim, question on that. Is this going to help populate the keyword area on the back end of the listings?
No. This is just populating the item type keyword, which is different than product search terms, which is what helps Amazon figure out what keywords to use to help your product get found when people search for it. So yeah, this is something different than that.
Excellent. Good to know. I want to make sure whenever you throw that word keyword out there, all of a sudden it has a search ranking perspective to it sometimes.
Correct.
So, and then the other thing I want to comment on the category is, even just because Amazon's suggesting that category, sometimes if you do some competitive research on Amazon to see that maybe a particular category doesn't have a lot of sellers of your particular type of product in it, there can be an advantage of getting into a particular category that is like that, to leverage low competition if someone chooses to filter by category. So just because Amazon suggests it doesn't mean that that's going to yield the best results. It's just what they algorithmically suggest.
Right.
Go ahead,
and just to expand on that a little bit more, you always want to make sure you choose a category that's appropriate for the product. If you choose a category that's not correct for the product, Amazon always reserves the rights to change which category you're in. And on the opposite side of that, some people say, well, my product, belongs to multiple categories. Amazon only allows you to specify one category that you would like your product to be listed in. Then if Amazon reviews your listing and feels that it can be in multiple categories, Amazon can then take it upon themselves to add additional categories to your product if they deem it necessary. So I just want to kind of talk a little bit more about how that categorization works with Amazon and listings. So how does this function work? Basically, you just need to go to add products via upload under your inventory drop down on Seller Central. And then you want to make sure you choose your inventory file, download your inventory file, enter in all your information into the template. And this is very simplified, can be a very difficult process to be able to fill in all the information exactly correctly. But that's why the next step after you do that is to go to the check and upload your inventory file and have Amazon check everything before you submit all the information. So even when we submit information for clients, we always do a quick check just to make sure everything is all formatted correctly and all the information that's required is present. But yeah, make sure that you use that check my file tool. And as you can see, having the ability to be able to automatically categorize these listings is going to be helpful. So after you have it checked the file, Amazon will then spit back a file. It's a processing report essentially, and will tell you which item type keyword you should be using to categorize your product. Then you can substitute your category that you had in that file earlier or that you didn't provide and put that in there. And then you can upload the updated templates to update or add your inventory. That's a lot all on one page there. We kind of simplified a lot of things. It's taken us years to understand how all these flat files and everything work. And every category has a different flat file. So it's going to be difficult to really have a cookie cutter example for every single kind of file. But here you go. This is how you can use that new feature for categorizing.
Excellent. Thank you, Tim. You didn't even leave any room on the slide for Phil to put a picture on this one.
I know, right? That's my job.
All right. What do we got next?
All right. So many sellers may have noticed this, but Amazon has introduced a new account health dashboard. So this is a way for you to be able to view your performance against required selling targets and policies. So Amazon has certain targets and performance metrics that you have to meet in order to continue selling on Amazon. These metrics can also affect your ability to be able to win the buy box and how often you win the buy box. So Amazon has just introduced a new way to be able to visualize that information and kind of see where your weak points might be in your business. So this is a way for Amazon to give you a little bit more transparency on exactly what's going on, so you can make those changes and make sure that you're keeping above board with how you are running your business on Amazon. And Amazon also will alert you when you have issues that may affect your ability to sell. A couple of them are any kind of safety violations are now reported in this account health dashboard, which is something that you really didn't ever get to see before. So this is a big improvement. So Amazon will now provide you with the reasons why they may have taken action. Like they may say, hey, there's been several safety problems with this particular product. So for right now, we are temporarily suspending your ability to be able to sell that particular product. And you then have to come up with an action plan to explain to Amazon steps that you've taken to mitigate and prevent this issue from happening again. So again, more transparency, which I know a lot of sellers always are frustrated with Amazon just being very vague about issues that arise on seller accounts. So this is an attempt to maybe start turning that bus around, which would be really nice for sellers. It also allows you to view any removed listings, again, due to policy violations. And the way that you can go to your account health dashboard is if you hover over the performance tab at the top of Seller Central, the first item there is account health. Great. Any questions or comments on that?
People don't take this one very seriously.
Yes.
Lots of folks think that it'll be okay if I miss one or two here and there. No, you need to be really Johnny on the spot with everything in terms of your metrics. You want to shoot to exceed. You want to be an A+ student. Exceed the expectations that are set forth upon you, because even with things such as the response time to customers, they tell you that you should shoot for under 24 hours, but they actually give you additional benefit for being under 12 hours. And that's and that isn't really apparent in the health and performance dashboard. So they do reward those who take the extra initiative to do fantastic with their seller performance. So it should be taken very seriously.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Another new thing that they introduced into Seller Central this last year is the ability for sellers to do subscribe and save. So in order to do subscribe and save, you have to be in the FBA program. And what subscribe and save allows is for customers to get regular deliveries of products that they use frequently. The way they do that is they usually receive up to 15% if they have several products that are in subscribe and save, and they also still get that free shipping on the product. In order for you to be able to check the ability and enable the subscribe and save program, what you want to do is you want to go into your seller account, go to Fulfillment by Amazon settings under your settings tab all the way on the right there. Once you're there, click on edit. Then you'll see under there, there's an option for subscribe and save that if it's available to you, you can enable it, and then you can click on updates. So we've had multiple customers asking us, we sell a consumable product, something that, customers need to order on a regular basis, everything from, water filters to vitamins to, let's say, paper plates to, you really name it. Any of these things are things that customers may order on a regular basis. And so being part of the subscribe and save program is a way for you to get that recurring sale from the customer, and the customer benefits from it. The one thing to keep in mind is that 15% off savings kind of gets passed on to you as a seller. So if you decide to use this program, make sure that your margins can support that kind of discount on the products before you decide to start this program.
Yeah, it's also a good way to lock in a customer. Granted, your margins apply this. Think about it. Every month they're purchasing from you, and sometimes there's 50 sellers on a listing within a penny each. You've locked them in with something like subscribe and save. Kudos.
Great.
Very good point, Blake.
All right, and then lastly, any other announcements that we had? The add a product feature has been simplified and streamlined. Before, you used to have to enter in all sorts of additional information, but now it's just become a lot easier. You have the option of still providing that advanced detailed information if you want to by toggling between the default and advanced views. The default view only requires the attributes that are shown, but advanced shows you all the different attributes that you can add into the product detail page. Next thing is, as of November 14th, the amount of time that you have to respond to A to Z claims will be going from 7 days to 3 calendar days. A to Z claims are more or less like anything having to do where a customer isn't getting the customer service that they really needed and therefore just went to Amazon to basically file a claim, and Amazon will then adjudicate, or they would arbitrate that issue and be able to come to a resolution. But now they require that you respond in much less time so that these issues don't drag out forever. So if you ever do get an A to Z claim, which are few and far between if you perform good customer service, then make sure you jump on those right away. And then last one that we wanted to kind of talk about is just a reminder that you always want to check your seller account regularly for any claims notifications. So that will help make sure that if there are any issues on your account, you take care of them right away. Great. Any other questions or concerns or any comments on that before we wrap up for today?
Well, I do have one other announcement, Tim, and that is Awesome Dynamic is the best Amazon consulting and management company in the world. So folks out there, make sure you're giving us a call to help you out and spread the word to anybody that you know in your personal networks or business networks that need help selling on Amazon. We're here to help those folks out. Thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate everyone joining us. We are, again, Awesome Dynamic. Tim, you want to throw the website up there again?
Sure,
you can visit us at www.awesomedynamic.com. You can also call us at 800-238-1811. And I'm going to thank you a third time for joining us today, and have a wonderful new year and weekend. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone.